Morning. Hopefully, you can hear me now. I want to welcome you, those of you who are here for the first time, to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. It is Thinking Thursday. It is season 15, and we are happy to be with you today. For Women's History Month, we're looking at Josina Muthemba Makel, born August 10th, 1945, passed away April 7th, 1971. She was an anti-colonial activist and key figure in the Mozambican struggle for independence. She traveled thousands of miles and was arrested twice while attempting to join the Mozambican Liberation Front. She joined a women's branch of the movement and received political and military training so that she could be part of the liberation struggle. She organized health and child care centers and schools while serving as an advocate for children orphaned by the war. She married Samora Machel, the first future president of Mozambique in 1969, and continued the fight for independence until she passed away a year later. All right, hopefully everybody can hear me. This is Michelle Jean. I might not be pronouncing that correctly. She is a Haitian born former journalist who was appointed Governor General of Canada by Queen Elizabeth II. She was the third Secretary General of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, which works to promote the cultures of regions where French is the first language. She became the first Black person on French television news in Canada during her work as a news reporter and television host. She worked with her husband in the production of several documentaries, including the award-winning Haiti dans tous nos rêves, or Haiti in All Our Dreams. She's a humanitarian who worked to assist victims of domestic violence recover through the coordination of government-funded spousal supports. Pretty important woman in Canada. And Miriam Makeba, March 4th, 1932, she was born. November 2008, she passed away. She's a South African born singer, humanitarian, UN Goodwill Ambassador, and civil rights activist. One of the first African musicians to receive worldwide recognition and bring African music to a Western audience. Well known for her work to end U.S. segregation, as well as apartheid and white minority government prominent in South Africa. Immigrated to the U.S. in 1960 after gaining popularity as a singer and an actress for her role in the anti-apartheid film Come Back Africa. She received a Grammy for her collaboration album with Harry Belafonte. After marrying Black Panther Party leader Stokely Carmichael, Makeba faced criticism from whites as well as the U.S. government, which caused her to move to Guinea, where she continued to protest injustice through her music. Miriam Makeba. And if you can hear, please let me know in the chat that you can hear. I don't want to keep going if the sound is not good. All right. So let's go into a meditation today. Remember, we are reading Meditations for Black Women for Women's History Month. And I think she's got a good one for today. Here's the book if you're interested in knowing what I'm reading from. Connect with your softness. Chimamanda Adichie said this: I've chosen to no longer be apologetic for my femaleness and my femininity, and I want to be respected in all of my femaleness because I deserve to be. Meditation. However I choose to express my femininity is valid. Connecting. Connecting with your softness and femininity is a revolutionary act, especially in a world that expects Black women to remain strong and resilient at all times. Let's not forget that if a woman has dark brown skin, wide hips, and some Jackson 5 nostrils, people will call her masculine because she does not fit into the Eurocentric beauty standard of being thin or lighter skinned. with petite facial features. Boo! To be feminine is to be you. If you identify as a woman, you are automatically feminine and have a right to claim the softness of your womanhood. Traditional femininity is associated with socially constructed traits such as nurturing, gentleness, and grace. And by embracing your femaleness, you are rejecting the idea that your self worth is tied to your ability to remain tough and steadfast in the midst of hardships. Your ability to engage with your softness is your strength because you are defining femininity for yourself. It takes courage to lean into the gentle side of yourself despite dealing with things like racism or sexism that aim to break you down or make you build into a tough emotional wall. Softness is your feminine right. Allow yourself to exist in this tender space by practicing self compassion and self acceptance. Determine what being soft looks like to you by spending time with yourself, doing activities that bring out your feminine side and make you feel joyful and free. When Tupac Shakur said, "The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice," he was most definitely talking about us sisters. So think today, ask yourself, how can I connect with my softer side? And go do that. And let me just say this, men have soft sides too. If they don't, and they become a father, that soft side might just show up. I don't know about you, but if a man especially has children, I'm going to need him to have some softness in his side. I'm just saying. So, in my personal philosophy, I don't see softness as being masculine or feminine. I see softness as being a human characteristic that people should have. Just saying. All right. Last devotional before we go into our main reading today. Today is March 20th, and the title of today's devotional, coming from Dennis Kimbrough's book, is One Track Mind. Walter Turnbull, founder of the Harlem Boys Choir, said this: "It took me 20 years, but I knew what I wanted and I knew what I could do." Each of us is born with two minds, a can do mind and a can't do mind. An excellent way to get acquainted with these two types of minds is to look upon the consciousness and the subconsciousness as a garden. You are a gardener and you are planting seeds or thoughts in your subconscious mind based upon your thinking. As you sow, so shall you reap. That which is possible only becomes possible after you have used your can do mind. The can do mind in you believes in your success, in your abundance, in your health, and your prosperity. The can't do mind, on the other hand, succumbs to negative thinking, fear, and disbelief. It nurtures feelings of lack, limitation, ignorance, and discord. And I want to tell you, every single day, especially if you are on social media, you are going to be encountering people with the can't do mind. They will be down in your comment section all the time. Especially if you run a social media account or you run a social media page outside of your personal page, you will encounter the can't do mind. You will, you will, you will. You know what I do with that? Oftentimes I hide it because I don't want the people who are following me to attach themselves to the can't do statements. So I hide it because I have my own mind, right? And I can recognize when somebody is coming down or coming into my space with that mindset. So I hide it. That way, they're only talking to me. They're being heard. They're just being heard by me. They don't know. They don't know that I've hidden their comment from thousands of other people. Part of that is because I don't want them to be attacked by my followers because my followers know how I feel about certain comments and conversations going on in my comment section. So I don't want them to be attacked, but I do want them to be heard, right? But you will encounter the can't do mind either from yourself or from other people. In one respect, both achiever and failure alike deploy their greatest gift, the use of their minds. However, while one ultimately utilizes the positive, the other ultimately employs the negative. One makes use of the can do mind and reaps all the blessings that it bears. The other struggles senselessly with the sadder side of life and all too often adapts life's shortcomings. Those who have carved their names onto the tablet of success have a deep understanding of the workings of these two minds. Long before their goals became apparent, they made a conscious decision to lose one of those minds and rid themselves of that particular thinking. The same can apply to you. In order to change external conditions and experience the good that the world has to offer, you must first make a conscious decision to lose your negative mind. Affirmation: I will use the key to my success. I will use my can do mind. And now let's journey back into our main reading today. We have been reading from Dr. Maisha Cherry's work for our Thinking Thursday: Failures of Forgiveness, What We Get Wrong, and How to Do Better. I really like this work because Dr. Cherry is forcing us, well, really our choice, but she is challenging us. I think that's a better word. She's challenging us on our notions of what forgiveness is, when forgiveness should be applied, and who it should be applied to. In this particular chapter, we're looking at the business of forgiveness, or how forgiveness operates in a workplace or corporate setting. All right, so that is the context of what we're reading today. She says, it's not that a resolution bar is too high, in referring to the workplace, it's that forgiveness is not the only path to resolution. If the productivity and well-being of employees is an organization's primary concern when dealing with conflict, organizations can be more effective by offering employees diverse coping strategies and expecting a range of benevolent responses, even if they don't take the form of forgiveness. We can lower our moral and emotional expectation of workers without lowering organizational goals. I do think the values of forgiveness climates are worth retaining, but to eliminate any misconception about what we are encouraging and aiming for, let's forsake forgiveness climate language in the workplace and replace it with something better. I suggest that we replace the idea of forgiveness climate with a climate of respectful cooperation. Rather than focusing our workplace attention primarily on how to respond morally to wrongdoers, we ought to make sure that there is less wrongdoing occurring to begin with. Forgiveness looms less large when there are fewer things for employees to forgive. In a climate of respectful cooperation, a person needn't rid themselves of all negative emotions. Instead, they are simply required to treat others respectfully and to cooperate peacefully. This treatment involves a range of benevolent response and behavior. A climate of respectful cooperation creates an environment that facilitates and encourages such behaviors. It also shares in the values of restorative justice, compassion, temperance, and patience. But it does so with the aim that these values will make available a variety of strategies for coping with stress, along with other positive behaviors. One of the main priorities in a climate of respectful cooperation is to curb and address the incivility that makes forgiveness irrelevant or relevant, excuse me. When employees are disrespected, they are less creative and more likely to retaliate or quit. I want you to pause there and I want you to think about that, especially if you are in the workplace or workspace. I work for myself, so there's not a whole lot of opportunities for someone to be disrespectful to me because I decide who I want to work with. If you're in a space where you're not working for yourself, you have less of a choice to decide who you want to work with. unless you are a part of the interview process or you're a part of the hiring process. And even in the places where I was working for someone else, I was often on the interview committee or the hiring committee, and I could give my input to say, I don't think this person is going to work well with our team. Everybody doesn't have that experience. So think about this. When employees are disrespected, they are less creative and more likely to retaliate or quit. In the chat, I want you to just tap either the 100 or tap the heart icon. You should be able to see that on your bar as we're live. I want you to tap either one of those if you have felt like either retaliating or quitting when you encounter disrespect in your workplace. Now, I have encountered disrespect, but not right now. Not in the last 4 or 5 years. I have not been in a space where I've been disrespected, and I'm very thankful for that because I know that's not everybody's experience. Okay. But when a person feels disrespected, they don't want to stay in that environment. It's hard for them to think creatively. Now, I do know someone who's going through this right now that every other day, it's back and forth. One day, people are respectful. The next day, people are disrespectful. And they need to be creative for their job. Like that's a part of their job is being creative. And this does hurt people's productivity when you as a employer don't curb this kind of thing. As the professors of management and leadership, Christine Porath and Christine Pearson observed, just one habitually offensive employee critically positioned in your organization can cost you dearly in lost employees, lost customers, and lost productivity. I'm going to say that again. Because if there's some managers listening today, you need to hear this. If all of your other employees are unhappy because of the one person that you have placed in a critical position in your organization, it can cost you dearly. Loss of employees, people start quitting. They don't want to come to work. Loss of customers, because guarantee you the disrespect is not just stopping at the people they work with. People who are disrespectful tend to be disrespectful to everybody. So they're probably disrespectful to their coworkers. They're also disrespectful to customers. And then you're losing productivity overall. So it pays to make this a priority. One way to minimize incivility is for organizational leaders to model civility. This is not surprising. We model those in leadership in powerful positions. So whether at home, if you are modeling civility at home, your children will follow. If you are modeling incivility at home, being rude, being disrespectful, being crass, guess what? Your children are going to take the model right out into the world. So whether at home, in politics, or in the workplace, if our leaders are uncivil and disrespectful, and we see that that's a way to advance or be heard, we are likely to follow suit. Hence, look at what is happening in our nation with our leadership at the top. We have a model of incivility leading our nation, and we're wondering why people are becoming more incivil, more disrespectful, more rude, more openly racist, because it's being modeled at the top. And not only is it being modeled at the top, but people are seeing it that these people who are like that at the top are actually advancing and being heard. So that's the model we have going on right now. So the first important step to organizational leaders is to make sure that they are setting an example by not, it's amazing that we have this lesson today, by not being abusive, by not being rude or otherwise disrespectful. In a climate of respectful cooperation, organizations also hire for civility. Leaders are careful about who they hire. If they detect incivility in an interview, they don't downplay or ignore it. Unfortunately, the model we have right now, as our national leadership is, the more rude, the more disrespectful, the more incivil you can be. Ah, I think I will hire that person in leadership. So we're actually witnessing the exact opposite of what this book is writing about. They give it careful consideration. When inquiring about an applicant's prior work experience, they want to know not just where and how long they've been employed, but also about the kind of person they were in those places. Hence, people ask for character references. Were they toxic? Were they rude? Rather than hire for experience alone, a better approach is to also hire on the basis of past behavior and demonstrated civility. Leaders also reward civility through job performance and reviews and penalize incivility by taking complaints seriously rather than evading confrontation and delaying a resolution. A senior executive once reported, quote, every mistake we've made in firing a questionable hire was in taking action too late, not too early. Just as there are cues for bad habits, for instance, we might drink more in social settings or eat more when snacks are visible, uncivil people are cues for more incivility. A disrespectful person creates an environment of disrespect and ignites disrespect in others. Like excessive drinking and unhealthy snacking, sometimes it may be best to attack incivility at its source. Firing is one option to halt incivility. It can be difficult to fire, of course, in spaces such as academia, where tenure often protects persistently uncivil people from termination, but there are still options. Departments can limit the uncivil person's exposure to students or to committees. In policing incivility, we must be careful not to fall back on familiar double standards. In many professional domains, men are allowed to express anger at the office, but women are not. White men are permitted to have temper tantrums, but the same behavior would be unacceptable for employees of color. Or we might put up the disruptive behavior of a boss, but fire a low ranking employee the first time they're disruptive. In a culture of respectful cooperation, incivility is dealt with in a fair way. When employees see that fair standards of civility exist and are rewarded, they are likely to respond to wrongdoing in civil and beneficial ways. In addition to civility, a climate of respectful cooperation also promotes emotional intelligence, which also curbs workplace conflict. In the leadership literature, emotional intelligence is emphasized because it's thought to be a hallmark of effective leadership. But I think all employees can benefit from emotional intelligence as it affects both one's inner life and one's outward behavior. Now, we have done a whole study and reading of an entire book on emotional intelligence in our previous seasons. But as we can see in our current society, it's still needed. I don't think you ever graduate from working on your emotional intelligence because as human beings, humans are built to surprise you. So, emotional intelligence is something that I think we can all work on. Um, and it takes practice, it takes being self aware, and it takes being willing to do the work. All right. At this time, I am going to open it up for my dialogue. So let me see if I can add in the link to join in the chat. Pastor Ben, you should already have the link, hopefully. Hopefully. And so you can click right on it. I'm also going to drop it into the chat on the live. So anyone who wants to join us can. There's the link to join to come on screen. We've got about 15 minutes here to chop it up about today's topics. So you can feel free to click on the link and join me live. As we are waiting, yesterday's video is going to be up shortly. For some reason, it's saved as a private video. So we just need to go in and make yesterday's video public. And Pastor Ben, the link is on the in the conversation box there too, if you needed to get in. It's telling you that the video is private. Okay, let me go to, hold on one second. Share with my audience. Maybe I put the wrong link down there. Copy link. Um, yeah, it's on private because it's live, but that should be the invite link that I just sent you to get on. Try that link. Let me know if you can enter in. There we go. I don't know why it gave you the wrong link. I just added you. Thank you all for your patience. All right, Pastor Ben is saying that I added you, but I don't see you on screen yet. The only other thing I could say is to go out and try the link again. So I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. But I would recommend going out and trying the link again. Oh, and while we are waiting for Pastor Ben to join us, I do want to make note that March 28th, on March 28th, we are having another mutual aid day that's going to be held on Black Table Talk page. So you can mark that March 28th at 12 noon. What is our mutual aid day? Our mutual aid day is where we have the opportunity to help people who might need financial help. You have to have Cash App in order to participate in that mutual aid day. All right. I see you now. Good morning.
Good morning. There was a bunch of things that just happened. When I got the right link and I came on, it opened up. Then my phone went dead.
Uh-oh.
And it took a while for it to get back up. So, um, but yeah. Unfortunately, we experienced it before back in 2016. We experienced it where people started being emboldened
Mm-hmm.
by the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
The leadership didn't plant it in them; it was already there.
Mm-hmm.
The leadership just made it cool for you to expose it.
The cruelty and incivility you're talking about.
They just had somebody to come along and say, "Okay, that it's okay for you to expose that. Don't hide it anymore. Don't hold it back." I listen. Follow my lead. I'm rude to everybody.
Mm.
I call people names. I hate anyone that speaks the truth about me. I got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with me being rude. I don't have a problem with me being the biggest liar on the planet that everybody knows. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with you talking about it. See, why change? No, I'm not going to change. Just don't talk about me. Just don't speak the truth about me. Let me lie. Let me mislead people. 'Cause that's what I love to do. So don't try to correct me on that. Or when I become president for the second time, I'm coming after you and I'm going to lock you up, which is what we see happening or trying to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad, and what the thing that gets me is that this is a nation that they say is a Christian nation, but it's so far
Mm-hmm.
from being Christ-like that it's ridiculous. I mean, it's more
Mm-hmm.
anti-Christ-like than Christ-like.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking about that, but I want to talk about you know again black women because you talked about some very powerful ones. Uh, and listen, everybody on this planet knows the power of a black woman. That's why they called on them when there's a serious need. That's why you see so many people here in America that voted for the FIC 457. They're calling
Mm-hmm.
for black women, and black women are saying, "Nah, we tired. We tried to tell y'all, but y'all didn't listen. So we gonna rest." And then they want to come after you for resting.
Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I have
No,
seen
no,
that.
no, no, no. You created your own problems. You deal with your problem. We sitting this one out. And as I said before, black men are sitting this one out. But black men are also watching over our women while they're resting. Don't come for them because we got it covered. Do not come for them. There's a town where white supremacists marched through with their Nazi flags and their guns and stuff,
In
yelling
Ohio.
racial
Mm-hmm.
slurs. Yeah, racial slurs. What happened? Okay, black folks came out with their guns. We're going to patrol our area. Takes us back to the Black Panther movement.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to protect ours. See, but what did they say? Media didn't blow up the white racists running through their early nation slums through a black neighborhood with guns. They wanted to focus on the black folks stepping up to defend themselves
Mm-hmm.
and to escort the children to and from school.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's America. See, look, all the stuff that the racist white folks do, let's cover that up. That's not as important. But let's focus on the response of the people that they're oppressing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus on that. But they letting them know we ain't having it. Where were y'all at when they were marching through here? Y'all weren't blowing that up, but now y'all want to come out here and blow this up because we're protecting our people? They're just telling them straight up, you know, and that's what's been happening. That's what's been happening. We have a right to protect what's ours. We have a right to do that. That's in the Constitution. The one that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Oh, the same Constitution that y'all trying to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? The right to bear arms is in that same Constitution. Do you want to get rid of that? No. No, you don't. See, so let's do the thing. Let's not just want to do part of it. That's like scripture. Some people want to do part of it and leave the rest out. You know, the parts that they like and that's going to benefit them, they like to do that. But the other parts that basically tell you to get straight and straighten yourself up and tell you how to treat foreigners the way as though they were one of us because we were once foreigners. See, those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that we want to get rid of and ignore. Yeah, so but man, listen. And from what I can see, I know the black folks that I know, the one that's in my sphere, the ones that I'm connected to. This as far as this situation affecting them, the way it's affecting the other people, it's not. I
I'm gonna
really don't
I'm
know any
gonna be
black
I'm
people.
gonna be honest with you. I have not
Mhm.
seen not one black person perturbed by what's happening in our country right now. Not a one.
Me either. Me either. We were
Not in my
prepared for
personal circles, not in my professional circles. I
it.
haven't seen anybody like fearful or worried or saying, I don't know what I'm going to do or I don't know where my next
Right.
meal's coming from. Now, we know that obviously lots of things have not hit the fan yet, right? It's
Right.
a lot of it is just
Mhm.
orders right now. But the
Mhm.
reality is, Black people have been doing without for centuries.
Mhm.
Black people have been getting the short end of the stick for centuries. Black
Mhm.
people have been denied access for centuries.
Mhm.
And the ones that have gotten something, it's been like maybe 1 to 3% of the Black population. So Black people as a whole have not seen all of this access and opportunity. Let's keep it 100.
Mhm.
So you've already relegated, most Black people are already resigned to the fact that this country, though our ancestors built it, this country is going to continue to give us its butt to kiss. Black people have
Mhm.
already resigned themselves to understand that. And so because of that resolve is already there, we've already decided and are doing what it takes to survive in a country that does not want to give us access to certain things.
Mhm.
So the people who are really hurting in this moment are the people who have actually been given the access. And those access points
Mhm.
are being closed or resources are being snatched away. That is who
Mhm.
is hurting in this moment. And so I would challenge those who are hurting in this moment to turn to people who have already been disadvantaged. Now, don't go to them asking lots of questions. Don't do that. This ain't the time for that. All you
Mm-mm.
have to do is learn and observe. Look at how they
Mhm.
move and then and act accordingly.
Yeah.
Black people have already showed you all how to move in this society. You don't have to keep asking us how to do it. Look and learn. Observe
That's it.
and learn.
Hmm.
Go to a training and learn. Pay them to learn. If you're going to ask a lot
Hmm.
of questions, pay for answers. One last time.
Hmm.
If you're going to ask a lot of questions, pay for the answers.
Hmm.
And maybe that payment
Yeah.
is financial. Maybe that's payment in a service or a good that you can offer. Because remember, you've been living in the land of advantage.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you want to learn how to survive this presidency, pay for the answers.
Yeah.
That's not some radical idea. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Final
not.
thoughts.
Now, now we are. I'm gonna end with this. Now we are in a teaching mode.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in a physically helping mode. See, we'll teach you, but we're not getting out there with you. See that ship is sailed. It's sailed. You brought this on yourself. Now we will teach you how to survive. That we will do. But we're not getting out there on the front line with you. We've done that. We've been there, and we got the short end of the stick every time. I know y'all got used to it. Y'all was like, okay, they helped us with this, we'll kick them to the curb. Okay, they helped us with this, we'll kick them to the curb. Okay, they helped us with this, we'll kick them to the curb. But this right here was, as they say, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back
Mm-hmm.
because you actually voted white supremacy into the White House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That
I
was
mean the
like,
first time you could have said, I ain't really know.
yeah, exactly.
This time you knew
You
exactly
knew.
what it was. You knew exactly what you were getting. You knew he was going
Hmm.
to do worse upon entry this time, and you
Hmm.
chose it. And
Hmm.
so black people are essentially saying, this is the bed that you chose to make.
Hmm.
You might as well get in it.
Yep.
And this is the bed. But
This is it.
don't expect everybody just be offering free labor for you. This is the
Mm-mm.
bed that you chose. All right. So all the people in the world ain't Christians. I'm gonna say it that way. You better find you might get some empathy and some sympathy from a black Christian, but everybody's not a black Christian. I'm gonna just say that.
Listen, listen, and even a black Christian know when it's time to wash their hands.
Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah,
All right. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be light. Remember, March 28th is going to be our mutual aid day on Black Table Talk. I will put up a post about it, and it will be right at noon. And when the money's gone, the money's gone. So you have to have a cash app to participate. If you put up any other thing, PayPal, Venmo, I'm going to ignore it. Make sure you put up a cash app if you want to receive some of the funds that will be distributed. All right. There's no catch to it. It's not spam. It's going to be just a post, and then those who have need put their cash app down, and we fulfill the needs until we run out of money. That's how it goes. All right. Thank you for your time and attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be what, Pastor Ben?
light.
Light. Take care, everyone. Be well. And most importantly, be light.